Call to order at 6:12. And we're going to start with roll call. Madam Futterman, present. What? Did you say your name?
Ange Ahern.
Andy Earl, present.
It's me,
Hi.
hello, everybody.
Roll call.
Roll call.
We did a roll call.
Jonathan Jambrum here.
All right.
Okay.
Item number 2, approval of consent calendar. We
Oh.
have a minute.
I'll make them.
Anybody has on the minute? Okay, motion to approve.
I'll make motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Motion-
Hi,
Minutes approved.
yes.
Item number 3, we got some Bible Friday. Elsewhere, so that's the next project for this spring.
Yes, hello, everyone. Barbara Friday from 66 Benwood in Larkspur. It's wonderful to see all my old friends again and to meet a new one in Ange. So the reason I'm making a public comment today, the Friends of the Larkspur, and I have notes only to keep me on track here. So the Friends of the Larkspur Library will be sponsoring Touch Trucks again as a benefit to raise funds to refresh the children's collection at the new Larkspur Library. So the date is Sunday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. I'm in the morning with a early access from 9 to 10 and a general admission from 10 to 11:30 to 12:30, excuse me. That's a Sunday. This will be our 3rd time arranging this fun event, so we'll incorporate lessons learned, which were, replete. But still a very magical and wonderful event. I'll be chairing, even though I've retired from the Friends, because I saw an opportunity. Since the solar panels are going up on the east parking lot at Redwood High School this summer. So, one last time at that great location. This time we'll have the full support of the wrecking crew, which is the fundraising arm of Parks and Recs, Jean Friedel, as well as the whole of the Parks and Recreation Department. So they're on board too. And concurrently, we'll run a children's book campaign to raise funds from the larger community, from those who wouldn't necessarily attend Touch Trucks. And those will be, from the Friends of the Larkspur Library mailing list and, the greater community. We'll have plenty of sponsored tickets so that people without means, family without means can certainly attend. But ticket prices are going up this year. So that will be a change from previous years. And stay tuned and don't be surprised if I ask you to volunteer day of. And many thanks to Damon and Diana, St. James, for their enthusiastic support so far. So I just wanted to inform you so this is coming on May 4th.
Thank
Right,
you.
how much are ticket prices going up to, or do we even not know
I
yet?
do know.
But
So early access will be, you'll have the whole place to yourself, 9 to 10, the whole parking lot to yourself, 9 to 10. $150 for family up to 5. Then at general admission, when it starts at 10, $75 for a family of up to 5. And for individual tickets, $25.
Good,
Great.
Is that okay? Does that ring true to you? I mean, does that,
I think it's fair.
I was gonna say,
I think it's great.
well, it's a book benefit.
Yeah.
And I think we'll balance, on the other hand, we'll have lots of family sponsored tickets to pass out throughout the community or at our own Larkspur Library.
That's neat. So families buy tickets that then you get to distribute.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
think-
and any individual could buy a family ticket that will distribute. And we really don't, anybody can,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that comes out, I remember this before, in your newsletter,
yeah.
where we can then have a link to buy
Yeah,
tickets for
exactly.
people.
Yeah, there'll be emails, exactly.
The sponsorship is really good for people who do not see, who do want to support it and do not really see themselves going to Touch a Truck, but still want to be part of it and say, oh, I'm gonna buy a ticket for family,
Yeah,
so that someone who has kids So some of the kids can go.
And we wouldn't turn away anybody at the door. We won't advertise that because it is a benefit for the library, but, you know, the idea is to.
Can you buy tickets at the door?
Yes, you can, but tickets will be on Eventbrite. But you can buy tickets at the door as well,
If we buy tickets,
in
one,
advance, excuse me, I'm sorry.
family up to 5,
Mhm.
we're only 3. Do we give away 2 tickets? We give.
No,
tickets?
because you'll get printed just to pay, to get you in,
Got it.
and so, yeah.
But if we also wanted to sponsor another family,
you certainly-
then we pay and then you
Yeah.
distribute.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. But was it clear that we're running concurrently a book, a children's book campaign at the same time? So if you wanted to sponsor family, you could do that. If you just wanted to buy children's books for the new library, you could do that as well. Because all of these funds are going for books and materials for Damon for the new library.
If the touch trucks funds raised go toward books,
Right.
got it.
Not to the Friends, directly to Damon.
I think it's worthwhile to make that explicit and clear.
I will.
On the whole event delivers books in the new library, and you can do that alone if you want to, or you can either way, so
Yeah.
that's great.
And where else are you kind of advertising it? At the schools and?
Definitely, preschools and schools,
Love it.
our library, all of our library, media and, you know, physical media throughout town. But
That's-
primarily
It's
digital.
physical media throughout town, so if participating businesses can put something up in the window.
Yes, and in fact, we are approaching local businesses as well for business sponsorships of the event. I'd even sell naming rights if, and that's what we're working on right now.
Yeah.
Because we don't want, in the past, we've left money on the table, we feel. Because has been such a popular event, so many people go, everybody really loves it. And this time we really want to both make a library connection, a stronger library connection, not just the trucks, but also to raise more money.
So when Barbara and I had an earlier conversation, I suggested that Barbara give us, through Damon, give the trustee the name of the businesses that they are targeting. This way we can all take a look at them and see if there are any other businesses that we know about that are not on the list that could be targeted. Instead of us giving her the name, then we're
Yeah.
going through the list. So
Is that-
You know the list. pretty well.
Dude, that just got done today.
Okay, good.
So the materials just got done, so I can get them to Damon tomorrow. We've got a list of 30 people, 30 businesses. Okay, and we've got 3 people working on sponsorships starting tomorrow.
I would definitely call Toyota Marin.
They're on the list.
So they're friends with us and,
Oh, you would like to call them?
no, I mean, I can text him tonight, but he has been very generous, Toyota Marin, with doing
Okay.
stuff with Little League and kind of all over.
Yeah.
He would definitely do something, whether bring a truck, donate something like they're really good about sponsoring anything with kids.
So that's exactly what I was meaning. If you
Yeah.
Send us a list, we'll look and we'll feel,
Yeah.
we'll put additional businesses that we know about.
So Kathy Green has Toyota Marin on her list.
All right, great.
Can I give her a name or can I have her get
Yeah.
in touch with you?
Yep.
Okay.
Is Keto's, the taco shop, also on the list?
No, not
Okay.
yet.
Okay, we'll have them and I can connect them.
I don't wanna, I don't wanna impose, I don't wanna over ask.
The owner just asked me for sponsorship opportunities.
Okay, excellent.
He wants to do stuff
That's
for
really
kids, he
great.
loves the community, or he's gonna do stuff with Little League also, but. he's-
Yeah, that's great,
he's
so no
accepted.
worries
Yeah,
there.
Yeah,
So,
he's,
so maybe when we get the list and we see and we have, and we think of businesses, when we send it back to you, we should put a note saying exactly what you said. Know the owner, just ask me for opportunities, but whoever is contacting them has a little background, and it's not a cold call, it is actually
Yeah.
responding
A warm
to.
call.
It's a warm-hearted call.
Yeah, that's
So we'll-
great.
we'll do
Thank you,
that.
Tom. That's super, he's a nice guy.
he's great, Tommy
Yeah.
Guerrero, awesome,
Tom Carrera?
Tommy, Guerrero.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's it for me. I'm gonna leave, but thank you very much for the opportunity to tell you about this fun event.
Thanks, Barbara.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right,
thanks,
yeah.
David.
Uh-huh,
You
thank
guys
you.
have a good meeting.
I say a formal hello, I'm Jonathan. Hello. Nice to meet you.
Any other public comment?
No, I didn't receive any, and no one on Zoom.
All right, number 4, any board members reports and comments on library activities or any thoughts or
Just seeing the progress of the library site, it's the only thing, looks good.
all right, number 5, director's oral report. Raymond, you have the floor.
Oh, whoops, I was jumping into business. So, couple things to announce. I just wanted to announce, you might remember our last meeting, I talked about the collection development policy that we'll need to review based on the state law for the California Freedom to Read Act. I attended a session on that. And so our process is gonna be, I'll draft, I have a pretty good draft of our collection development policy. I'll send it to the state. They kind of review it, that it would be okay with them. And then I'll bring it to this board, probably in March or April, depending on when they bring it back. I'll probably send it to them in February. So that's kind of that. And then I also wanted to let you know, this week we're having a couple fun events that we're having the old school Women Who Write, and it's going to be all love poetry downstairs. And for some people, especially our traditional patrons, this is like one of their favorite events of the year. And you'll see it decorated hearts and love poems, and it's a great event. And we're gonna also try a knitting circle as kind of a social progress. Other libraries are doing this, so we'll see how those programs go. And we're also lastly bringing back our Legion of Honors art series. So we're gonna have 5 art talks, generally on the second or third Saturday at 2 p.m. With a docent from the Legion of Honor on different aspects of the collection. And the first one will be February 22nd, where they'll talk about the opening day collection in 1924. So kind of those are our exciting programs coming up, and I think that's kind of it, unless you got any questions.
I'll make a comment. The knitting circle, women's club, the Cortima Women's Club has a very large knitting group, and they make blankets for Kaiser Permanente for the cancer patients.
Oh.
They get little blankets that they can hang on to, lap blanket, and they've donated, I think it is 5,000 blankets, and they just sent
Wow.
several tons of blankets and hats to Ukraine. They, through some organization, just contacted them and say, we need blankets for kids to hang on to when they're stressed. So
Sure.
that
That's a
might
lot.
be,
Yep.
if you need members, that might be a way to seed the knitting group.
That's a good idea. And maybe they'll eventually want a project too. Right now, they're gonna just kind of do their own thing,
Right.
but they could,
Well, they all
Yeah.
come and do their own thing. They just put it in common to donate. But if you need warm bodies, if you need to seed it, because all these knitters, they talk to each other. It's just,
That's awesome.
It tapped into the knitting
it's a
community.
community, exactly. So if you
Okay.
week and you need a little impulse of knitting community, just let me know and I would let them know. They
Oh.
always look for places where they can meet.
okay, yeah, because I don't have a good read on how much we'll get there. In the display case now, we have a lot of projects that were knitted, like little cats and that sort of thing, so I'll let you know.
Do you know what day it's gonna be?
It's the 14th, the Friday,
February.
yeah.
It's gonna be the second Friday of every month.
Valentine's.
This week.
This week, yeah. We're gonna kind of see how it goes for the regularity of it.
I see.
Before we commit to it, where like the art docent talk, we had to kind of commit to
Okay,
them with the 5 so they could line up the schedule and
so. the
That sort of
first
thing.
meeting is Friday. It's good, because
at
tomorrow.
1
At 1.
to 2:30
Here.
at the library. look before.
Because tomorrow is a general meeting of the Women's Club, so I make the announcement.
And I think that's all for my.
Then about the-
Good.
No?
David, I have a question on staffing. How is hiring? How's staff level now? Anything open, anything coming up?
We're about. It's. About the same, nothing really coming up.
Yeah, steady state
Sta-
right now.
yeah.
But all positions are filled that you need right now.
Yeah,
Great.
we do have one in the council that's not funded that we're hoping we get funded with the new library. But otherwise, everything's there. We did add, I can't remember if I said this at the last meeting, an intern from the Tamascale School. And he's helping us out on Fridays and Saturdays, which has been really great to get the book drop and that sort of thing. But he's not paid. Max.
All right, if we are done with the director of our report, we will move to number 6, business items, starting with 6.1, election of chair and vice chair. Do you suggest on the top?
I haven't done it in a while, so I'm happy to.
You want to be chair?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done it in like 3 or 4 years, so. I'm happy to do it.
All right, you've got chair.
Is this the chair for 25? So you'd be
Yes.
the chair of the next meeting? That's,
Yeah.
no, we're, okay.
But we have
Just-
to do in January.
Oh, it started in January?
Well, we should have started in January.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah,
There was no
correct.
meeting last January,
Yeah.
so this is our election.
I would like to make a motion that Andy is the chair.
I second that. And we are all
For vote, I think,
Okay.
right, I think, I,
anybody opposed? No? All right,
Great.
okay,
All
vice
right.
chair. I can continue being vice chair.
Yeah.
Great.
Great. Will somebody make a motion?
Make a motion for Mel to be vice chair.
Seconded.
All in favor?
All in
Aye.
favor? Anybody opposed? No,
Nope.
Michael.
Uh,
All right,
so,
so we have,
oh,
chair
okay,
Andy
congrats.
and vice chair Armel.
All right,
All right, that was good, thank you. 6.2 annual letter to council, that, we,
could be in the packet.
you've seen it before, right?
Oh,
We need
did
to
you
send
packet?
date. I have it, I have it.
Oh, I thought I put a packet there, here's. Oh, Fran,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
here's, I'm sorry.
No, I think that's good. Right, but you should have one, I didn't realize you did not. But you had emailed it, right? Yeah, you
Yeah.
had emailed.
Mhm.
My first, comment that we should make sure that the date is February. And 2025, yeah.
A pear soup?
Hmm?
A brief pear soup?
Please, I can see.
Where's that?
Yeah.
What is the word of pear soup mean?
It does exist, you probably looked it up. It means,
What? Recap,
recap,
report? Okay.
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I
recap
even speak some French and I'm not
Recap
familiar
is,
with that.
recap is a bit, well, we can do recap. You could find out what that is.
Yeah, it's the big words.
I'll back off.
I mean, I love it. I usually do a general kind of format and then I hand it over to Armel to touch it up nicely, so.
Season?
Let's
Yeah.
see how many of the, city council member will
I love
We'll
it,
learn that new word.
yeah. So we'll change those, just the date on them. I think everything else is pretty good. Yeah.
Anything that we should add to it? Did we mention that truck?
Oh, it,
That would be, that
oh,
would
it's
be-
one of the
that-
biggest events anyway,
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it's right around the corner.
so let's just make, upward, blah, 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 maybe in that. One, two, three, four, fifth paragraph where we say the continued effort, maybe in there.
Yeah.
At the end. Looking forward to, okay, anybody can.
Look forward to continue some of the fun program we provide for them. And
Including touch trucks.
Yeah.
On February, or what the date is?
May 4th.
May the 4th.
Reading. Touch, so is it touch?
Touch trucks,
Or touch track,
Touch
not touch a track,
touch trucks.
I know that there's. Coming up.
Okay.
All right, we need to, any other comments or additions?
Yeah, I think it's good.
Do you want to make a motion to approve the letter?
Motion to approve the letter.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, anybody opposed? No. Stick it. Okay. 6.3, joint meeting with city council on February 19th. Efforts and priorities for 2024.
So I could give a little context here.
Yeah.
So the city councils wanted to restart, I guess, joint meetings, which have occurred in the past with all the boards. And in September, they held one with the Heritage Board, and they're also gonna have one with Parks and Rec the month after us. So this is something they're doing to try to connect, see what you're doing, and in the agenda, you see there's kind of three main things they're gonna probably talk about here, and I'll write a staff letter before we go. That basically reviews projects, somewhat to this, you might want to present the letter, that might be something. I made kind of a list of a few, projects that you kind of helped me with. Then we have general discussion topics, and just to suggest things, I would guess maybe something like the new library would be something to talk about. The other topics, might be touch of trucks, outreach efforts. There might be other things. The one thing I haven't talked to you about yet, but was gonna bring up here is in April or so. Now that the library's up, I was gonna do a larger community survey in SurveyMonkey. And so to kind of work with you, and I know we talked about this when we started, and you had ideas, Jonathan, especially to promote things within the survey. So to do the survey, figure out, what's a good one and work with you on that. That might be a good chance to see if the council has any ideas. So that was just something I was gonna suggest, and we're gonna go forward, but we haven't really talked about in great detail yet. And whatever other discussion topics you might want to do with related to the library. And then they also created kind of a category, maybe interested in discussing in the future, but not at this meeting. That I'm not sure what that would be exactly. The Heritage Board had a few ideas in the future they wanted to work on, but weren't ready to talk about it. So maybe if the board's thinking about a concept or idea, but don't want to talk it, but want to let the council know we're thinking about something, that's the spot for that. So probably about 30 to 60-minute meeting. And so that's kind of the joint meeting with council. And so kind of our role here would be to try to, figure out what the agenda would be from the library board point of view.
Okay, anybody has,
Yeah, one of the things I was thinking about is, this may be more on the Friends of the Library, side, but, any joint events between like other, so for instance, I'm particularly thinking about the movie theater. I know that I have a good friend who's on the board of the movie theater, the Lark Theater, and thinking about if there's any way to like do cross promotion for events like that.
I think that's a great idea.
which we would ask the city council about it.
I don't know if I just don't know what the interaction of the city council is with that, so to kind of bring that up as a, sort of like, what are the next steps to explore that, and if there's any involvement they have there.
If there's anything that they can.
And we could also have something like events as a larger topic, and then touch of trucks is one of those. And then other potential ideas too, to group, events, it might be a topic in general. Because I think we will be doing now a lot of events too, and it's also gives us ideas possibly for the new library and the new space. Our friends group have a lot of ideas for events, but they can't do it. It's hard for them here. So I could see the topic of events as a broad one, as a discussion topic.
I like the idea though, of something junction with Lark. We're really good friends with someone on the Lark board as well.
Okay, cool.
And they're very open, like they did free, like a movie, or we hosted a Little League tournament here, the state tournament, and they actually played a baseball movie and invited all the
Oh,
kids
that's
who
Oh.
were in the tournament. So they're like very open to doing
yeah.
fun and interesting things that cross pollinate.
Yeah, one of the things like I was thinking about is sort of like if you had a Saturday morning or Sunday morning, whatever sort of series, and you do a reading at the library, and then the next Saturday you sort of have the movie or the whatever the visual accompaniment to the book is, and tie it together so there's like continuity
So
there.
that when they have.
Book first and then the movie version.
And you
Yeah.
can tie that to like the
Exactly.
summer reading program.
Yeah,
And I know my kids are at Basage, and I just got 100 emails about the readathon happening now, and I know there's like a lot of sort of like just energy around that at the school right now, and talking with their friends about who's reading what, and there's a lot of overlap.
Right. I'm not certain how the city council would be, because it's, we can mention it to them as
Yeah,
something that
I
we
mean-
would like to do. But
I think
that's,
to Damon's point, it's with this council, it's more generally events.
well,
Yeah.
the council, I think, is more, what would be the question we would have for the council? We want to ask them what their budget is for the library.
Yeah.
We want to.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
I mean-
Yeah.
That's kind, and I could talk to if you did want to talk through the budget, I could talk to Dan a little bit on how to phrase that for the discussion. They are gonna have a budget workshop April 5th, all the department heads go to, and Dan's our city manager, Dan Schwartz. City manager just said I was betting, we are gonna have a citywide flat budget this year. So no increases, no cuts. We are, as I've told you many times, by far the lowest funded library in the city at $57 per resident, where in the county, people are more like $130, $140 per resident. Mill Valley's like 170. So, but our use, if you look at our circulation, it's very similar, and I'll talk about circulation later, but I don't know if you talk about budget though, what the outcome would be, but they're starting to think about budget.
Yeah, it's probably best to do it by April. There was something else I thought that we could mention. One of our big goal last year was communication. And what we could ask them is how to improve the website. But it is so difficult to find something on the library website. And
Oh, I love that, because the city has more of the control over the website, and we've done some updates to the tertiary pages as best we can, but I think And the city has talked about going out with an RFP for a different one, but I've had, that's probably our most complaints is with our website.
It's very difficult to find an event it's very cumbersome. It's just, I don't know if you've tried it, but.
And there's other, like Mill Valley and some of the other libraries like have registration software for events, so. You know, you can register and control, send out reminders and, you know, some of those things are built in that would be useful tools, but.
But just finding information, just having the events listed on a calendar is just not a weird thing that you can't click on it. You can't really see what it is. So I think that if we tell them that communication is really something we want to continue with the patron and with the community at large, that people realize what the library does.
And that was a big
It's
focus with the newsletter.
It's
and trying to
beyond
get
books, it's beyond
Right.
program, and how can they promote that?
Support that.
So who owns the website now?
The city, and they have a contract with Civic Plus, who does a lot of municipalities. Mill Valley uses their website, San Anselmo has a Civic Plus website. But they own it, and then we own the library portion. But the site's a little more designed for civic organizations, like to find agendas easily and, you know, that sort of thing, more versus a library website. And it could be improved, I think, if you like look at San Anselmo's, it's the same there, but it takes time and energy and, you know, commitment to do it too. So it's a big also undertaking to redo a website. But I think the
Civic, you said?
Civic Plus,
Civic Plus, they're the ones that they have the like developers that are updating the site, or they're like hosting it?
they're hosting it and they have the framework of what we do, and then we upload the content. But some of it, I think what we've heard is just how it's structured
Yeah.
and kind of the drop downs and the looks maybe a little dated for how people do. And it's a good communication tool for us. In particular with the events, and then also for material searching. Some people, you know, launch off of there, but discover what we have from there, especially e-content. So you could talk about like communications maybe, and then website is a portion of that and building
But
on there.
The website is standalone, like this is the website right here.
Mhm.
And this is not, it's not like a subsection of the city site, right? Like when you get to our site, like the library has its own site, even though it's like under that tree.
Right, if you go down, you'll see it kind of, the bottom footer is like a city footer. So
Sure.
it connects, but we do have like our own, there's not.
And
city.
but the section that's library specific, is that also still owned by the city in terms of decisions, oversight, like making changes, content updates, structural navigation?
If you, I don't know if you wanted to flip this, this
Sure.
is the best example, but basically, the city would kind of control how it looks.
This,
Basically like the navigation panes,
okay.
and we can create the pages under here.
Who's,
But
like this global nav, like do they decide?
Yeah.
Somebody else decides how many sections, what they are, what the words are, what's in these drop downs?
And then we can make, right now there's 6 in this drop down, we could create 8, 9, 10
Okay.
within here, and we've created the content within all here. But we don't create like another header up there.
But Civic Plus has done the design, and have you ever requested changes to them? Do they do them?
More boilerplate probably.
Yeah, it's
It's just
kind of boilerplate, I think it would be,
Template, right?
yeah, I think it would require, some of the things might require cost too.
Yeah.
So, and the images too, of the books.
Oh, yeah. There's some clear room to improve things there.
And that might be something, as we just talk, again, I'm brainstorming here, but that might be like a subcommittee of a couple folks might want to work with me and Jess and just say, this needs, to start off and, that might be something to consider.
Right, definitely, it is, because at the end of the day, who uses a website, people who want to come and visit, and they need to be able to see right away what's going on. And I have to say that to see a librarian to have books right away, sending the idea that this is the old-fashioned library for books, when this is not really, we're moving away from books. We do way more than books. We do puppets, we do lion dancing. The community-
Quilting and
Yeah.
and knitting and
And-
trucks, and they're just,
It was very tech forward. It's like a brand new facility coming, like, I agree.
it's
It looks
a learning
old
center.
and we're new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting newer.
I think even having information on there about the new facility and, like highlighting it all, and people drive by it all the time and are wanting to.
I think it's on, it's there somewhere, but
Yeah.
it's hard to find.
Yeah, it's hard
Yeah.
to look for it, and it's just not that, like, it doesn't look like, I don't think it highlights, a lot of the stuff, that's
Correct.
coming.
Correct.
The image of books, we'd be better off with the schematic or a cool illustration of what the new site's gonna look like.
Mhm.
That would be exciting and
Yes,
like, that's the future.
so, all right, I
That
think
seems-
that's something that we
Yeah.
would like to.
Yeah,
write
that
down,
seems good.
we have to.
Okay.
Interest in discussing in the future meeting, well, I think that something we've discussed. I don't really know.
Yeah.
The one I might put out there just as a suggestion to your board, and we don't have to discuss it there, I think when we move to the new facility, we'll need to review our policies for the public, like conduct but I don't think we should do it till we move over there, and I don't know if we really want to discuss it in the future. Maybe it just stays in there, but that's something I know I want to work with
That's
you
a-
on,
Great plan.
but not sure when.
The timing makes sense.
Yeah.
Two, are all library policies, do they live in a centralized place?
They
Okay.
should all be on the website, easily accessible and understandable, but like I said, with the collection development policy, it's not there. So most of them are there, but that was one I kind of discovered. I think they transferred the website and things might have got confused at that point.
This is a two-part point. Policy. On one hand, there is communication again, that the policies should be all on the website for all patrons to have access to them. This way they know what is expected and what they're gonna get. And two, the reviewing of the policies once or before, in anticipation of moving to the new facility. This way they are adapted to the new facility.
That would be a good,
We
would be a
have
good discussion.
different
Mhm.
ways of doing things, so
Yeah.
that's something we can tell them that what we're gonna do, that
Yeah,
it's not
I like that.
really,
So when we approve a policy that you develop, you then take that to the city council and they ultimately approve it before we live it on the website.
Technically, Dan does.
Got
I think if it was a larger issue, he would have it go to council.
Got it.
But I don't know what that large, I can't give you an example of a larger issue would be right now.
But if it's not a large issue, Dan approves it himself individually, and then it goes live on the website?
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
but
I remember, we've revised many policies.
Yeah.
Well-
Yeah.
Book borrowing,
right, but they were,
Wi-Fi hotspots,
but they were
Wi-Fi,
revised, or they were just.
they
for example,
existed.
the hotspot, they did not exist, but
Yeah.
we modeled them onto some other item that was similar. It was not a brand new borrowing policy, which is, well, it was a new borrowing policy, but borrowing is not a new
Okay.
activity. It's not something new, but if we start doing new activities at the new site, such as I see underneath telescope circulation policy, we might have a program that could be at night or
We
whatever.
would do the same, right? We
We
take
would have to.
reference from policies that exist and.
Right, but they might want to take a closer look at it. just
Yeah,
because of-
Okay.
Yeah,
So
and-
which is fine.
Yeah.
And I think when we go over to the one I'll be interested in and touching up will be our behavior policy. We don't really have hardly any issues down here now, but it, just being a high school and middle school and more people driving there, just kind of want to look at it and see
Smart.
where what we
Yeah.
want to do. So that's the one in my, that's one
Yeah, I
I
like
like my head.
Right,
Getting
because
ahead
there
of it.
will be a bigger parking lot, which means that there will be more possibilities for
People.
people.
Yeah, but
coming.
also, you're right, also just people, like kids walking after school and like appropriate use of space and all of that.
I think that's a great topic for a future meeting or discussion. It could go into the, discussions in a future meeting
Yeah.
area of, anticipating
Right.
behaviors, situations that we'd benefit from thinking through in advance and, or even seeking input on and just being prepared rather than really reactive to it.
Yeah, it sounds good. And then the city, if we do it at the joint meeting, we can get a read on the city council, how big of an issue that is for them, or, oh, I see policies are there and just go on.
But there might already be a policy that exists for public buildings in Larkspur that can be modeled, that can be the model that is used for that new building.
There's a lot more outdoor space, right? It's
Mhm.
open, it seems more accessible. I don't know if we've talked about this, but is there consideration for pets? Is it pet friendly?
That'll be a discussion, I think, especially with dogs in this town, will be a big thing. So I think, that's actually what I know that's been talked about, and that's probably a policy we need to have more
Yep, that's one.
concretely.
Another one is just congregation in the outdoor areas. You're not in the library, but you're on the library ground, like in the parking lot. or any of the neighboring grounds.
But what I'm saying, there might be a public space policy for Larkspur that can be applied to this.
Great.
Or like at some of Parks' current policies, maybe for
Right.
overnight parking or something in that thing.
So anyway, in general, policy in general would be. Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else that the upcoming meeting with council?
Did you decide on a time? I know you're done.
Not yet. So we have a meeting tomorrow. I probably hopefully get a little more clarity tomorrow because it's close and they do have to set out the agenda soon, but it was kind of trending towards 6:30. But I don't want to say that quite yet officially.
It could be next Wednesday around 6:30 maybe. And there will be, you will put all these points that we just mentioned onto the agenda.
Yeah, and then I'll talk to Dan and see if there's anything also from the council perspective
Right.
that they're looking to discuss. And then I'll share the final agenda with you. I don't think there's gonna be like a shock or anything to be like unprepared for that they'll want to discuss, so.
And all of you can come?
I can make it.
Good. It'd be good if we have a good show of them.
And Jeff will be there.
Anything else? Or can we move on to that? All right, so next, telescope circulation policy.
So we love policies. So you should have something here with like a logo up. It might be your last page on the project. That's the telescope we're gonna be circulating. So we got 2 telescopes from a state grant and they came from Big 5. So we have 2 of these that come in a bag. It also has a chair, compass, kind of so people can set up. And we created this policy for circulating because, if you total this up, it's like, it's like $550 or $600 item. And so, even though we just want to teach people responsibility. And the thing I like about Library of Things, which a lot of libraries are starting to do, small objects. This kind of gives an introduction to families to see if they really would like to do this with their, family and or buy this themselves. I was just talking to someone in the building department and they bought, their child was interested in astronomy for like a week and really wanted one and then switched. So I think that's what we're hoping to do and promote just astronomy and science to the community. So basically, there's a little detail here, but we're gonna have people sign it because it is an expensive item, just so they understand and make it serious about what we do. But basically, it's 3 weeks and no renewals, and we thought 3 weeks, gives you enough time to play with it, understand if you like it. First time you put it together probably takes a half hour or so. We have like videos people can do. And that's kind of that's the big thing. A few other libraries have this also in the county, who can circulate it. We're gonna not put holds on it, so people have to come here and check it out. Won't be in our ILS.
How do they know if it's available? It's kind of a crapshoot.
Yeah, you could look in the catalog. It will have a record for checked out. And they could see that, but we won't hold it. So right now we have passes, like park passes, and it is just kind of a crapshoot if it kind of comes in. You could look, but most people it'll be. We talked about holding it, but we saw like Napa had holds like 98, 99 people. And then it's like 3 years before you get it.
Yeah.
It's so that's kind of why we did no holds and be kind of a crap.
But you said no, sorry,
Oh,
go ahead. You said, you said that they cannot reserve the material. But at the bottom, it says, I have read the entire document. Am I using the software to reserve material from Larkspur? It indicates my agreement with the above statement. So
Reserve might be better changed to borrow. Better take possession.
yeah.
But you say, what do you mean, using the
I
software?
think
Then
I think what happened is it's a bad taste.
This looks like it was cut and paste.
Yeah, so I think we are gonna, because we talked about software, like signing electronic, like QR code. So I'll change,
Right.
I have read this entire document. Am I using this?
Signature.
Well, maybe my agreement in borrowing these materials or something, and then they sign it.
Yeah, my signature indicates my agreement with the.
Yeah, by signing below, I agree to abide by.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other,
Thank you, sorry about that, that's why it's good.
yeah, exactly. And there's mention of pay any fine and fees if required as stated above. I don't see anything stated above
Where is
that
it?
addresses that. It's the last
Oh.
bullet point and the bullets under the table.
Oh, these are the fees up here.
It's below, not above, below.
No,
Return.
he's saying that, I think he's saying that the chart is,
Here's the fees.
right, so if there's any
Your
part of this
damage,
that's not
yeah.
returned or returned damaged, then that's the price associated with that part.
Because when you borrow, you get all of this.
I understand. I was saying it's not clear. Because I was expecting they're like, oh, I might need to pay a fee, like if I take it to a park, there's a permit fee. Or if I'm
Oh.
using it, looking in the wrong thing, like Orion is gonna
So
find me.
maybe instead of price, it could be
To pay-
replacement cost.
Or just to
I
pay
think
any.
it's gotta be clear, like this, like if I don't return it in the same condition, if it's lost or damaged, I will replace it
Right,
at these prices.
right.
Just make it clear.
Yeah,
Right.
maybe not replace it, right? I will pay the fine in accordance with the price, cause I don't know, like, we want someone to do a replacement.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
pay to
Yeah.
fix or replace, pay the fine. I think that's
Pay
great.
fine, yeah,
And-
fees bad.
Is it inspected before it's lent out? So we know it's always in perfect condition. If somebody can't say, no, this is how I got it, this thing didn't work when I took it from you.
It should be, that will be part of, because that's why we don't want
Like
it
a
to be in the Dropbox, we don't want it in the Dropbox, we kind of want it returned and kind of open it up while they're there and. And we would call them before, assessing
And when
a
people
cost.
borrow it, I assume that it would be, so here's a telescope, here's a carrying bag, here's a.
It'll all be in one big duffel bag. And then there's some star support materials.
Is it,
Right.
how heavy is it? Is it heavy?
I was able to bring that up. It's not that heavy. I can lift that up as that.
Is it well protected? If it's in a duffel bag, is there protection around it?
Not like, it's not quite in
Like
like,
a Pelican
this-
case like this.
this
a case,
kind.
That seems like it would be worth, just given how it's valuable and sensitive.
we could think, I could price those out and think about it. Everything, the bag and everything was free with the grant. So, but I could look and see what, at least for the telescope, maybe not,
Just the scope itself,
that,
the height-
what this would be,
yeah,
yeah,
anything that has the optics in it,
or some other
glass. Yeah.
storage. So that's a good idea, yeah, cause they're not meant to be moved a lot, versus.
Is there, a minimum age that you need to be a library member?
0. Yeah, a baby, you have to be born, to be a member, yeah, but the telescopes, you have to be adult patrons, which we define as 16.
Okay.
But just to get a card, 0. And I'm sorry, on adult, we just switched this 3 months ago, consortium wide, adults now are 13 in libraries.
Okay, so the thing is that, so what that is telling me is that we are saying that a 13-year-old can take this away and be responsible for all this money. And I'm a 13-year-old, I come, I say, yes, not a problem. I will have the park because I'm a 13-year-old and, it's at night and I couldn't see all the park.
Hmm.
And then my parents say, why would you have a 13-year-old find this?
Yeah, I think 13's young, I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is,
But-
would you, if, I wouldn't.
Yeah, as a parent,
I would say,
It-
why would you lend it to a
It
13-year-old?
would be too hard for us to monitor by age, because with the library cards, you're either adult or juvenile. And so we don't really look at people's ages, I know what you're saying, because but we're 16 is probably a little more responsible before we did it, but almost all public libraries is 13 as adult. And so I think keeping that age is gonna be important for us, and then the other thing is, in reality, this is a grant. So we probably just wouldn't charge the child.
Show. If they,
If they
Lost
break
it,
it,
okay.
yeah, cause we got it for free.
I'll float an idea. I like making it accessible to any adult, defined as 13 plus, but what if somebody of an older age had to co-sign for their financial responsibility?
What if we ask
They,
for a
that
deposit?
I could see that, what that does is it does it for all the books too. So. Everything, right now, a 13-year-old could check out 10 books
Okay,
and not return them.
interesting.
And if they don't return them, it's on the 13 or 14-year-old, or whatever their age is. So that would be what would happen if they lost their books. The parent wouldn't be responsible. If they're under 13, the parent signs the card and then they're financially responsible. So what we've done before is like, once we're tend to be a little more generous with, kids who may have lost things when they were children. Because what's happened sometimes is they lost a bunch of books when they're 6 or 7, and they have this large fine, and they come when they're 15 or 16, and then they're blocked, and then we kind of work with them. So for me, and like the library things, even though this does cost more, it's kind of the same concept, and for us managing it, it's gonna be a lot harder. also kind of in a reality here. We don't get very many people in that age group, 13, 14, 15. In the new facility, I think it's gonna be way different. But we generally get kids 4 and under and seniors. We don't have too many teens who are coming here to check out. Still could check it out. But, and the rest of the county will be doing it in this way, and the city libraries. So, but I understand the financial kind of thing, and that's why we wanted to put it there, because if this is maybe too much for you as a child, or, you know, something might be something to consider if you do want to take it out.
No, I do think it needs to be there, because it drives home the responsibility. I agree with Jonathan saying that it needs to be clear that should any of these items be missing
Or damaged.
or damaged,
Mhm.
the fine will be as follows, the fine schedule will be as follows.
The only,
I
my
do
question
think
though
that
is,
we,
if somebody's gonna sign this document, and it's, could be a 13-year-old, and I think it's worth looking into a little bit, like, how much can you hold a
I was gonna
13-year-old
say, there's no
responsible,
legal weight to that.
right? I mean, you're,
Mhm.
I think it's either 16 or 18 or 21.
I think it's, there, I mean, there's a lot of policies that are just meant to deter and are never really gonna be
Yeah.
enforceable, and I think that would be the point of it, and like laying out the fee schedule. I hear what you're saying, that to sort of like the nuance of 13 versus 16 may be important from the perspective of like responsibility, but from the management on their card account, how do you do that?
the other thing I see, we only have one. We don't want to have a policy that lists this, and then once we move to the new facility where we want 13-year-old to come, we want 13-year-old to be interested in using that one item we have, and we want to be able to replace it. So we need to find a policy that ensures that 13-year-old can have access to it. And that should anything happen, because things happen, we have a way to replace it, to.
Well, I think that's my point is, our book budget is so low, there's no way we'll be buying or
Right.
paying any replacement for
Right.
this. So, there probably won't be a replacement fee.
What do you mean? I don't understand. Unless we make
Look-
people, we make whoever is responsible for that
That-
paying it. And this is what I'm saying, that we can make the policy very clear that this item is precious for the whole community. This is one public telescope that the whole community can borrow and take care of. And we're not gonna let anybody off the hook because they break everybody or damage or lose anybody. So
We do have two.
But I
Well,
think
there's
there's
a-
you have to, like, I think the point is like, you have the balance of like, do you really, you want to encourage people to take this out and take care of it? Versus, having a policy that truly wouldn't be enforceable if a
Right.
13-year-old signed it, like truly wouldn't be. And so having a policy that is not deterring them from taking care of it, but like deterring them from taking it out in the first place,
that's right.
which I think is counterproductive.
Correct. I get that. I get that. So we need to make it so that whoever takes it understands the cost of it. So we might have to ask for an adult to be, we might have to just remove adult and say that it needs to be under,
It does become a management issue for us though, because we don't. We wanna, it's easier, so it's a lot easier for us if we don't have like a lot of exceptions to our policies. And so if we have. So someone could check out $2,000 worth of books at 13
And not return.
and not return them. They could take 50 DVDs, they could take 50 CDs and then 100 books. So they've taken, and this is a big deal, even at 16, it was a problem because you have the 17, 18-year-olds. So if you do have whatever that cost is, we've had, so for us, it's kind of a management issue to start to say, oh, we need to see your birth date ID to check this out versus your library card.
And when somebody has a library card, do you know their age?
We know if it comes up as adult or juvenile.
Okay.
And
Well-
and it was like 3 months ago, like I said, they switched it countywide in Marin
They lowered it to
To
13.
13.
What was it previously?
16.
Mm,
So almost all libraries are 13 for adult, which is interesting, in itself. I mean, and I think Marin at one time was 16 as a compromise versus the 18. I think if our library card was 18, it would be a lot cleaner. And I wouldn't really know, how to do this with it. And that's why we also, at the time, put in adult, because we don't want 11-year-olds checking it out, or 12-year-olds. So we do kind of recognize.
I'm gonna revise
Yeah.
my own recommendation, hearing this and the management deterrence to try to even do something differently. I say we beef this up, so it seems like it has more teeth. And we
And
let it,
assume the risk
we'll
that
let it
goes with
ride.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think.
see what happens and get it used, let people enjoy it.
Yeah,
And we'll know soon, like if they both get busted, broken or lost, we'll have learned and we won't have any telescopes.
We won't have any.
yeah, but I think it
I
sounds like
think
what
it's
you're saying is that given that it's a grant and that, yeah, it feels like a larger liability potentially because it's one item that's so expensive. Really, this risk exists right now and we figure out a way to manage it. And so just willing to assume the risk and do what we can to,
Yeah.
to balance the policy.
I do agree with the beefing
Yeah,
it
the
up
beef,
so
yeah,
that it
I do.
really looks like
Right.
we mean it.
Yeah.
But we don't
Yeah.
add any administrative
Yeah.
step.
Thing.
I think that's the,
And it might help us learn as libraries do more of these type of library of things, if this works, because I would like to expand it over in the other library a little bit. Right now, most of our library of things are like puzzles or games, they're not really expensive. But some libraries that do have expensive items, that becomes more like the rental.
Mhm.
I
I think this is great, and
I
I,
do too.
this is,
Great.
let's get a picture of this on the homepage of the
Yeah.
website,
Yeah.
like, that's sexy and enticing.
It very
good.
much. I'm gonna say the same thing I said before, 3 weeks seems to be a long time for me and more
I agree.
opportunity for losing it,
Yeah.
because I'm going to town, I'm taking it, oh, I left it there, and I'm not going back and
Yeah.
I left it at the Airbnb.
No, that is fair. This kind of comes down to one of our other things is our loan rules are complicated. So each item we have, we call it a loan rule. So a children's book checks out for 3 weeks and then happens this way. So we originally were thinking about 2 weeks for this, but we would have to create a whole process with MarineNet to do a loan rule for 2 weeks. For 2 items. So all our other library of things
What does
are,
it mean to create a loan rule with MarineNet?
so when we offer a new collection, like you might remember, we did the playaways and video games. We have to ask them to create a loan rule. And so that, this book or this item checks out for this amount of time. And it's from this library and this is where it's shelved.
Is that because MarineNet administers that, they oversee
Yeah.
lending and?
They administer the computer that allows our inventory to go out.
county.
And it's not a problem creating a loan rule, but it's like another layer of stuff. So we would So that's partially why, that's a big reason actually why we made it 3 weeks, is because all our other library of things are already 3 weeks. Yeah,
The library of things, what other thing?
if you
are
go
we left?
in the library, it's kind of everything that's on the bottom shelves. So it's for the most part, it's the jigsaw puzzles and game donations. If you look at like San Rafael, San Anselmo, Sausalito, they have things like smaller telescopes, hiking kits, GoPro cameras. There's a whole kind of assortment of things they check out, and they have like a picture of it. It looks really nice on their website. And it's just kind of random, not random things, but like smaller items. People could buy, but you might benefit from community usage from it. And so like the jigsaw puzzles are a good example. The games are a good example. You're sick of this game. And those are all 3 weeks. So so we made this the loan roll for that. Originally, we thought 2 weeks, and maybe it would be easy if we made everything down there go out 2 weeks and then make that 2 weeks. Or if we had like enough of those, like 10 or 15 or 20, we might make a 2-week loan roll, but it's in our world, it's a little weird to make a whole process for 2 items. I think a lot of I know the county got this type of telescope. Tiburon did. And some of the other libraries had smaller telescopes. So at San Anselmo, they, way before this grant, purchased a small telescope. And then you could circulate it.
Are you saying that Tiburon has one like that?
I believe they do. I know the county does for sure.
And how are they doing the loan? That's going.
We kind of all went on our own after a meeting. We have like a group who decides what they call bibliographic standards. So they decide the loan rules. And so most people are putting it in their library of things.
So, but my question was, in Tiburon, where they have something similar that is already on loan, how is it going? Is it still coming and going? They didn't have problems? They have it for 3 weeks?
I don't know how it turned out for them.
Is there a way to
I
send
could
a
look.
reminder when it's due? Like, does that go out automatically?
That-
Like, hey, this is coming up due in
This,
5 days, that happens?
yeah, another thing we talked about doing is like to encourage them. We do this with our in-demand collection. Our in-demand collection is bestsellers for adults that if you walk in, they're not in the hold line in the 2 days. Normally items go to billing in 30 days because we don't do fines anymore. So if it's late, you get a reminder, and then at 30 days, you kind of get the, you're blocked, and this is there. But with that collection, we run a list because it is popular and we want them back, and we'll manually send the billing notice like at 7 and 14 days to make people do it. Again, it's a little extra workload, but once you save it, it's a little okay. So we were thinking like this one, kind of the same thing, to include that in the list, because there probably won't, you'd be able to tell pretty quickly with the other objects if it is
Yeah.
there. We won't send like the advanced billing notice for the jigsaw puzzles, but they'll come up in the same.
The big item in a small library,
Mhm.
you will know if it's not around, you won't be tripping on it.
Yeah.
Would there be a late fee?
We don't do any late fees.
Not for books, not for anything, because like the summer is limited, and if you have it for 3 weeks and then you're 3 weeks late, and it's like half the summer that nobody else can use it.
Yeah, I think you hit upon one of the library's challenges, like the in-demand collection, is since we don't find people sometimes keep books till they finish them, even if they do go to billing, because once you return to billing, it goes off your record. So some people can keep items a really long time. And
I would be interested to.
not most people, but
I'd be interested to hear how is it going in Tiburon, and what policy they use. and get information from them before we finalize it. I think that what you say, beef it up, make it, really clear that, if anything's damaged, it's a what you paper item. Start with that, but keep it open. So that we can, I don't wanna hold it another month, but nobody can borrow it, that is beside the point. But approve a policy, knowing that we would hear from Tiburon and try to see if there's any changes that they recommend, and then we can just revise the policy accordingly.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason why we wouldn't be able to amend the policy.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, we also, with the county, because Corte Madera is adjacent to us. Would you want to check in with them too?
If
Because-
they have one,
They do have one and they're promoting it now.
yeah, any
Yeah.
library who have who has it and it's already going out.
Circulation.
If we need to it would be good to know, 'cause what do we know about this? But they know, they've done it, they have learned something, we could use that information so that we make a policy that is stand on its own. And not taking a stab in the dark, really.
Yeah, we could do that. We have had this since October.
Really?
So, yeah,
Has anybody used it yet?
well, no, because we don't have the, yeah,
Okay,
because we're doing.
I agree, let's get a policy.
So-
Yeah, get- Yeah, exactly. What, just something positive about the telescope? Is there an opportunity for a school, like, I don't know what age you learn astronomy? But it seems cool to partner with, is it Hall Middle? That could just, if they're teaching astronomy, could say that the library has a telescope that you can borrow. It's incredibly cool.
Thing is that
No.
it's at night, so they don't have school hours, they will have to do.
No, I'm saying like, if they're learning about astronomy in school,
Correct. Oh, I
it's
see what
like
you
we
mean.
should tell
Yeah.
like the students that are, anybody who's
Yeah.
really fired up about astronomy should know, hey, you can go borrow a telescope. That's incredibly cool.
I think it's 11 years old, and I think that would be a very good activity for a sleepover.
There you go.
There you go.
Get 7 kids.
There
in the
you
house,
go.
whatever.
I mean,
and-
that'd tire them out in no time. You sleep by 4 a.m.
Yeah, one of the things, I think that's a good idea, and we've done programs here with astronomy in the College of Marin out here and over there before. This is a library thing and it's tough is like, since we only have 2 for the whole community, and then if you market it too much,
Yeah.
then you have the line, but you should do like the kids and
Yeah.
the targeting one, but then you have the line of, oh, it's something we deal with, but it's.
But you know what? That means that we need it there, and then you were just saying.
The
if we
better
are
problem to
thinking,
have, I'd
then-
rather have it
Then
a wait
somebody-
list
somebody
than
hears about it, and
dormant.
we have instead of touch track for books, we have, come watch the eclipse, and then everybody pays to use it, and we buy a new telescope. I mean,
There
it
you
can
go.
be.
There you go.
We cannot not promote something because we're afraid that we're not gonna have enough.
Yeah, it's a
Then-
good problem to have.
Then the need is known, and there's plenty of people in this county would say, oh, yeah. $300, I'll buy you a new telescope, I'll buy you 10.
Yeah, that's a good point, because maybe, with that space becomes an issue, but yeah, I think someone would be. Buying this for 1,000 for us might be something to sponsor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good, if it's popular.
Yep.
Cool. Okay.
all right, policy. Let's beat it
So
up.
I'll revise this and then we'll come back.
Can we
In
do it
March.
over email? Is it possible?
We're not,
No.
I like the letter when it's small, I can adjust it and you can approve it, but these are probably larger. You could email me individually and say, I think this, but as a group, we can't approve it because of the Brown Act.
I was just trying to get it
Turn
strictly.
in line. Thank you.
But like a subcommittee could work with me to adopt, to critique it more.
Can we just say, can we just point out what is it that we would like to, the changes we would like? Because for me, everything is okay, except for the point Jonathan has made, so, which is, listing the items and being very specific that those are the fine that will be applied to loss or damage to any of those items. On the bullet point number 1, 2, 3, the 6th bullet point. So making that very clear that all telescope kits must be returned with all parts and components listed below, or the equivalent fee will be applied.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the main sense.
Yeah,
of that.
maybe moving everything that says by using this agreement, you agree to above that. And then making the bottom bullet something more like. If you lose this, the fine is
Yeah.
Right.
something a
very-
little
That's
more
right.
subtle, but.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, being
I
very.
think if you do that, like, we can approve it.
Yeah, and then just that last line of by signing
But
below and
that's
agree,
it.
yeah.
And do you like this, because the other thing, just, I don't want to, this, do you like the signing idea, or? should-
Yes.
You do,
100%.
you do, okay, just to feel that, you do like that one, okay.
State. Sometimes,
Oh,
you know, that's not my signature.
Sign and print.
Right.
print name,
Print
signature.
name,
Sign it.
just make it as official as, so that people really stop and.
Yeah, I was also gonna say, just to, is it possible in here to add in, where does it say 3 weeks? Oh, yeah, for 3 weeks, holds cannot be placed on telescope kits, and then just adding another sentence to that bullet, any late returns may result in, a hold on your account or something. And like, I know
Oh.
it would pull books, but like, we would probably wanna prevent them from taking
Check it.
that out again.
Yeah, and if we send a billing notice after this, like 7 days, accelerate that, that blocks their account.
But even once they return it, that's, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, but, so I mean, like, more long term.
oh, really?
Can we
Oh.
Is
flag?
that too harsh?
I think we
But it's
can
more,
say-
yeah, what we could do it is a little, we usually don't. I don't know, I hadn't really thought about it, so I keep it in mind, but, it is more,
We don't have to get into that right now.
Yeah.
We can- If we decide to amend it, we can talk.
We could
through
do
it.
that, yeah.
Maybe flagging that they may not be able to.
I would
Borrow it
reserve
again.
the right.
That's
to
what I'm
not
saying, you
say,
may.
like, it
Don't
may
say.
result
Yeah,
at the
exactly.
library's discretion
Totally.
to
Yeah.
long-term
No, I mean,
irreparable
there's
damage
60
to your
circumstances.
public.
There's
it,
1 day versus.
To be
100 days.
recapped in a very lively after Sue published in the newspaper.
But I think,
Yeah, that's
if you-
good.
I think
Okay.
that we can talk through that if we decide to amend the policy.
I could do,
And like see what the, patterns are that we notice.
I think I could put in something like that, cause may makes it easier
Correct.
Yeah.
than will.
Yeah,
Great.
sounds good to me.
All right, so,
Make a motion.
motion
Aye.
to approve
Policy.
the policy as it will be,
With the
Finalized.
here mentioned changes.
Yeah, second.
I,
Aye.
all in favor? Anybody against?
Okay.
Right,
Thank you.
let's go back to, telescope, state report data, it's on the back of
So-
the telescope.
So on the back here, we do a yearly report to the state, and I just wanted to highlight the data for you of what's kind of going on here. It's much more detailed, but I just wanted to pull out some kind of more interesting things. So in Larkspur, we serve 12,000 people. In the county, we serve 259,000, so we're about 5% of the population. We have 6,000 cardholders, which is extraordinarily for 12,000 people.
that's amazing. We're 50%.
Yeah, usually it's like 35 to 40 in communities. And 605 are children, so 10% are children, that's only
That
gonna
seems
grow.
low though, to me.
It does, I mean, I don't know if it's the families or,
The families are borrowing for the children.
Yeah,
or,
maybe children don't have cards.
The children, I think they're under 13, so
Like, I have a card and I use it for my whole household, right?
That's
Like,
right.
I don't, it's not like my kids have separate cards.
that's right. That's what I.
I think it's misleading. It seems lower because not too
Yeah.
many children have their own library,
Right.
but
Yeah.
plenty of children are benefiting from the 6,000.
Totally understand.
Total.
Which actually might be good for that, that we only have 600. For the telescope policy, you know, that we have a lot of actually parents here who, do that. So. That's our total, and we send out an email to those 6,000 cardholders. That's our newsletter database for those cardholders. Our operating budget is pretty low. It's 876,000. You know, for total circulation, you see there 76,952 books or objects or DVDs or physical items were circulated, but 32,000 of those are all children's materials. I think that's going to grow exponentially in the new library for children's materials.
Right.
You see,
That number's just like indicative of the point we made before that, yeah, 605 kids are not taking out 32,000.
No, I think,
that's
you know,
right. That's a good, yeah, that's.
Damon, do you have the stat of cardholders? How many are in families that have children? Do we know that?
I'd have a hard time pulling that out of our data. No, I don't.
That would be interesting,
It was-
because I bet that a very high percentage of the cardholders are in families with young children.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
just based on these numbers, I think it
Yeah,
kind
so
of
you
has to
see
be.
36,
Yeah.
which is about
Yeah.
a third. A third of the books, the physical items, so generally books and DVDs are for children.
That's a good point. I'll try to look into that. I don't think it could run a list, but I'll see if I could figure out how many family cards we have.
30% of the circulation of children material and 10% of the cardholders are children.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Really tells you that the parents are doing it, which is good.
Yeah, and I think you'll see this, and you'll see next our ebook circulation, which is purchased through our MarinNet consortium. And this is for Larkspur tax coded patrons, is 53,121. So you see, and this year was the first time MarinNet, December 27th, circulated 1 million materials. Just through the ebooks. Physical wide in MarinNet's about 1 million items also, so it's just interesting. We do, and we purchase ebooks through our MarinNet membership, so we spend about 16,000 a year, 16 to 20,000 a year on ebooks. That's also e-audio, so it's a little bit, you know, there's a little more, and then there's e-magazines in there, so it's a little more than that, but you see our total circulation, there's 106,526. That's about what San Anselmo is. It's more than Sausalito. Mill Valley's like 131,000, just to kind of give you comparable numbers, but they're open a lot more hours. So we have a very well-read community.
What is the definition of circulation?
The item is checked out
And is this over a
Once.
year period?
over a year period,
So
and
106,526 things got checked out over 1 year,
Mhm.
and that's 2024. Oh, no, sorry, this year fiscal.
Fiscal,
July
yeah.
to June, okay,
So I wanted to bring that last, but it takes a while to get it to the state, so.
yeah.
So that's how many we brought to, which is pretty impressive, I think.
Yeah, great.
106 for 6,000 cardholder total.
I mean, it's an average of every person is almost taking out 20 things a
Yeah.
year. I'm sure it's very skewed, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Books, on the ebooks, 20
That-
magazines.
Do you have historical? Do you know what this was the year prior and
Mhm.
even back older? Be really interesting to see how it's grown, including relative to population and also cardholder size,
Yeah, I
which
could,
is like the activity level of our community.
yeah, I could bring that, had the like dip during the pandemic, but, and then it peaks like in 14, 15, because people were checking out DVDs. And then it kind of,
Streaming
it goes down a
services,
little bit.
pushed it all down.
But like that children's number is much higher than it was. I think just that reflects Larkspur having more families than 15 years ago. And then just real quick to highlight our volunteers is which probably our biggest teenage engagement, where we have teenage volunteers here. So that's, you know, the kids doing their hours primarily. We have a couple adults, but that's a lot of, and that gives us, you know, 683 hours of labor. Not quite labor, I don't want to say that, but
Yeah.
support within the library doing, you know, basic functions. And then there down below, you just see our programs, which we, again, with staff capacity, would love to expand. Children, the 0 to 5 group is our big, you know, crowd with story times and summer reading. The 6 to 11s generally like the slime workshops, and those are generally the paid programs we're doing. And then you see some team programs there. You know, last Saturday we had a team present on AI. He did a little, brought his family in, and that was his presentation.
Lowest attendance participation by a long shot.
Yeah. It's hard to get them, and we have a
Yeah.
teen advisory group to hopefully help us program. There's 3 on there, but you know, we'll do what we can.
Councils to library things.
Oh, some libraries do, yeah, we could. We have one on, let me think about that, because we could. That's a good idea. Like go the cost, anyway. And then you see the adult programs, and the adult ones are generally all free programs too. So you know, the children, our friends support generally the youth program. Some of the adult programs, like a Legion of Honor programs, will have a modest cost, but most of those are all free programs, like the book club and
Cool. Super cool.
and so I have a lot this more in detail too. The one I left off here, our collection size is about 38,000 items. When we go to the new library, we'll have space for 20,000. So
Say those numbers again, please.
so right now we have about 38,000 items in the collection. And that doesn't count the ebooks or the physical materials. And when we go over to the new library, it'll be about 20, it'll hold about 20,000 items.
So it's getting cut in half.
Yeah. But it'll be primarily adult books that are gonna probably take that. There are adult nonfiction. We've had some books down there. We ran a list that one hadn't gone out since like 2002.
That's fine. So
You know, so
pruning,
there,
Kind of
but
consolidating the stuff. that's-
which is
and
good.
and giving access to, we're more about access with like these checkouts. A lot of those were from Mill Valley Books or, you know, wherever the holds and popular items are coming from. But just so you know that is, and we've had a couple comments that will be, and we do have the smallest collection in the county already. We've had a few but I think we want to have a vibrant collection, one that's used. And the new library will also have more children's books. So the children's collection is expanding. What's going to shrink a little bit is the adult nonfiction collection.
I do. think
Probably,
that
probably. We need to assess it a little more, but
the book that is on the bookshelf and is not get read, is not belong to the community library. So it needs to be picked up, it needs to do something. We don't have, like I say, we don't have the room. We need to make room for items that are really gonna do the job, which is being read, being enjoyed. So what is, at some point, when, we should probably move on to future agenda items. I'm thinking of that. It would be a good, interesting discussion to have how this cutting is gonna happen. What, you know, the criteria of not having been taken out is a good one, are there others? So if we can do that at a future meeting.
you know what might be good is to see it after the collection development policy.
Mhm.
Because the collection of policy address, that's a major part of that.
Also, what do you do with the 18,000 items?
We
Can we derive value from them? Do you give them to other libraries?
generally they're not wanted by other people, so most of the books we send away, we send to an organization called Better World Books.
Cool.
And
Okay.
they pick them, so they're not going in the
recycling yet.
Yeah, and you can't recycle books because the covers, you have to rip
Yeah.
out the pages. Yeah, so like at the county, you had to send them to West Sacramento to a place and they had a machine that ripped them, so you could recycle them, but you had to absorb a fee for it. So, but we don't want them to go in the dumpster if we can avoid it, but this Better World Books is a pretty good solution.
Sounds great.
And they pick them up and then they sell them on the market for pennies.
Anybody have other?
But
So
we-
future agenda items, I was thinking the state policy, and if we can talk about how the cutting of the collection will happen, you guys know, that would be interesting. We might want to add the policy for the, telescope, thank you.
Those are-
Just blank.
Huh?
Just, or not the policy, we already did it. but-
The final version of it,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then
Yeah,
any
any input.
Any
You
input
put
we
some
get
other
from the other
level.
objects,
Mhm.
their usage and their policy on it.
Anybody else have other
That's it.
that we should be discussing? Well, we have the meeting with the city council next week, so maybe we'll have some other points we want to discuss after that. Should we move on to next meeting dates? March 10th, everybody is.
I'll be here.
Yep.
Okay,
Good.
I think so.
Okay.
Oh, no. Yes, I am. April. April 14th, I won't be.
How was that? Spring break is the week before, you know.
Oh, yeah, April 10th. Yeah. When is spring break?
I think, it's Saturday is the 12th. Right, so the 13th is Sunday, Monday is the 14th, but it's after spring break.
All right, got it. So I will be here, yeah.
You will, okay,
Yeah.
all right, so, well, maybe on March 10th, we can just
Yeah.
revisit these dates and make sure that
Yep.
we don't have any items that need to be absolutely discussed and we're all done.
Mhm.
Any other?
No, I think we'll go to another one.
Second.
Meeting adjourned at 8:45.
7:45.
Oh, this was the longest one ever for me.
Damon, question
Uh,
on these, Steph.